Welcome, viewers. Crimes are happening around us every single day, and disturbingly, platforms like Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp often play a direct or indirect role in these incidents. Yet, society seems to ignore these digital dangers and simply move on. But if you're a parent, today's case will stop you in your tracks. Today, we're exposing the dark side of the internet, the hidden consequences lurking behind those familiar apps. This isn't just another story, it's a wake-up call. Laco, one of the largest cities in the Philippines. In this bustling city lives a quiet, kind-hearted 16-year-old girl named Christine Lee, who stays with her mother. Christine is a 9th grade student, known for her calm and reserved nature both at school and at home. More than anything, Christine finds peace in her faith. She loves going to church. Beyond just attending services, she actively helps out, arranging seats, assisting during functions, and always being there for the church community. Life for Christine was simple, peaceful, and pure. One day, like usual, she asked her mother's permission to go to church. Her mother, trusting her, agreed but reminded her gently, "Come home early." Christine left for church. Normally, she returns within an hour, but this time, she didn't. At first, her mother tried to stay calm, thinking maybe there was a delay at church. But as time passed and there was still no sign of Christine, worry turned into fear. Unable to wait any longer, she rushed to the church herself, asking everyone she saw, "Did you see Christine?" To her shock, they replied, "She left early today." Now panic truly set in. With her heart pounding, she had no choice but to go straight to the police and file a missing person report. The police launched an immediate search operation when a 14-year-old girl went missing in 2017. They combed through all the places that Christine usually visited: parks, friends' houses, the church grounds, even nearby alleys. As the news spread, concerned neighbors joined the search, hoping, praying that she would be found safe. But the day passed and there was still no sign of Christine. Her mother held on to hope, believing that any moment now someone would call with good news. But what awaited her was a reality no parent should ever have to face. What they eventually found was not the daughter she had raised, not the girl who smiled gently while arranging chairs at the church. It was a scene so horrifying that even the police, hardened by years of experience, were shaken. A small group of people who arrived at the scene took photos with their phones, but the police quickly intervened, urging them not to share anything online. "Do not upload this anywhere," they warned. The images were that disturbing. To this day, those who speak about the case strongly warn others, don't search the photos on Google. Because what was captured that day was simply too much to bear. A scene so gruesome, so heartbreaking that even describing it brings chills. What really happened to the 16-year-old girl who went to church and never came back? When everyone thought the case had gone cold, it was suddenly reopened, and what followed was a shocking twist no one saw coming. This isn't just another crime story. It's a waking nightmare for every parent, a tale that will leave you shaken, disturbed, and searching for answers. You're watching DCR Crime Decodes, and I'm your host, Creasy. Let's uncover the truth behind one of the most chilling cases you'll ever hear. Come with me, let's dive into today's case. Are you drawn to the darker side of reality, real crimes, shocking evidence, and unsolved mysteries? Then you found the right channel. Subscribe to my channel for more videos that explore crime scenes, mysterious cases, and shocking stories. Due to YouTube's content rules, I can't show everything here. But if you want to see the original crime scene photos and uncensored content, check out my Telegram channel. The link is in the description. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more. March 11th, 2019, the morning after Christine went missing. A crowd had gathered on the edge of an empty ground, murmuring in shock and disbelief. Something, or rather someone, had been found. The police were alerted immediately. When officers arrived, they were met with a heartbreaking scene: the lifeless body of a teenage girl, left alone and exposed to the early morning sun. There was no ID, no name. But one fear loomed large in everyone's mind. Could this be Christine? The police reached out to her mother, asking her to come and identify the body. Shaken and hopeful that it wasn't her daughter, Christine's mother arrived at the scene, praying with every step that this was all a mistake. But when she saw the girl, her legs gave out, her voice collapsed into tears. It was Christine, the same 16-year-old who had left home with innocence and faith just the day before, and now she had returned in the most devastating way imaginable. Though Christine's mother confirmed it was her daughter, she could barely look at the body, not because she didn't want to, but because what she saw was unbearable. Christine's face was completely destroyed, mangled beyond recognition. The police immediately sent the body for autopsy. What came back from the forensic lab was even more horrifying. The report revealed that Christine's voice box had been completely damaged, likely to silence her screams. But it didn't stop there. Her right ear, lungs, and tongue were missing. These weren't just injuries, they were deliberate mutilations, and the most disturbing part. To make her unidentifiable, the killer had poured acid on her face, and then used a sharp object to peel off the skin, a method cruel beyond comprehension. Even the hair at the front of her scalp had been forcibly plucked, tearing away the skin underneath. It was as if the killer wanted to erase her identity completely, as though Christine was never meant to be found, never meant to be remembered. But Christine's story was not going to fade into silence. Christine's body showed signs of extreme violence. She had been stabbed more than 30 times with a sharp object across her stomach, hands, and legs. Disturbingly, she had no clothing below her waist. The doctors confirmed a horrifying truth. She had been raped before being killed. Adding to the horror, the forensic report suggested that the killer was under the influence of drugs at the time of the rape. This raised a pressing question that haunted everyone. Why would someone brutally target a 16-year-old girl in such a savage way? To uncover more details, the authorities ordered a second autopsy on Christine's body, hoping it would provide further clues. While waiting for the new results, the police intensified their manhunt for the killer. At first, the police began checking their crime records to see if a similar murder had occurred before. Surprisingly, they discovered that in the same city, exactly 11 months earlier, a 62-year-old person had been killed in the exact same manner. Due to the similarity in the method of killing, the police suspected that the same killer might be responsible for both murders, including Christine's. They believed that if they could identify the perpetrator of the earlier crime, they would uncover the truth behind the latest case. As a result, they launched an intensive search for the suspect. Meanwhile, photos related to the case, which the police had explicitly requested not to be released, were leaked and quickly went viral on social media. The case rapidly became sensational news among the public. The public was outraged. People couldn't believe that a 16-year-old girl could meet such a horrific fate. Voices began to rise across the city, demanding justice for Christine. The viral photo of her condition shocked everyone. Speculation quickly spread, and many began to suspect involvement from a group associated with black magic, individuals rumored to worship Satan and engage in human sacrifices driven by dark, misguided beliefs. Whispers turned into widespread suspicion. Could this be the work of a cult? While the community reeled from fear and anger, a major breakthrough came the very next day on March 12th. The police finally located and arrested the man responsible for the murder of the 62-year-old victim from 11 months ago. His name was Jonas, and just as many had feared, he was indeed a member of a black magic community. The police, already suspicious, began questioning him intensely, convinced he was also behind Christine's brutal murder. But Jonas's response shocked them. "Yes, I killed the 62-year-old man," he confessed without hesitation, "but I had nothing to do with the girl." He insisted he was nowhere near the scene when Christine was murdered. He claimed to have been in a completely different place at the time, offering an alibi the investigators hadn't anticipated. Now the police faced a troubling dilemma. If Jonas wasn't the killer, then who was? The police were stunned by Jonas's denial and didn't believe him at first. But during the investigation, his alibi checked out on the day of Christine's murder. He had been working at a different location. The owner who had hired Jonas confirmed that he was with him the entire day, leaving no room for doubt. Reluctantly, the police had to accept the truth. Jonas hadn't killed Christine. Still, Jonas was a confessed murderer. For killing the 62-year-old man, he was sent to prison. Now back at square one, the police turned their attention to Christine's mobile phone, hoping it might offer a new lead. They took it into custody and began a thorough examination, and then an unexpected clue emerged. On the day Christine went missing, someone had sent her a message on Facebook. Strangely, that message was deleted shortly afterward. Digging deeper, police traced the account and discovered it belonged to Christine's 17-year-old ex-boyfriend, John. They quickly located his residence and knocked on the door. When John answered, his face turned pale with fear at the sight of the officers. Without delay, the police arrested him and brought him in for questioning, but during the interrogation, John remained firm. "I had nothing to do with this," he insisted. "Why would I kill Christine? I still cared about her. I would never hurt her." Despite his denial, the deleted message and his connection to Christine made him a prime suspect. On the day of the incident, Christine had gone to church. Security footage confirmed her presence, capturing her walking around 6:12 p.m., but she wasn't alone. The footage clearly showed a teenage boy walking beside her. When investigators analyzed the video and compared the boy's height and build to John's, the match was nearly exact. This only intensified suspicions. However, when the police confronted John with the footage, his mother stepped in to defend him. She claimed John had gone out to play with his friends at the time Christine was seen in the video. But there was a problem. John had no solid proof of this. None of the friends could clearly confirm his whereabouts, and no other evidence backed up his mother's claim. Now the case was more tangled than ever. The question remained, was John lying to cover something up, or was he being falsely accused? John's statements were inconsistent and lacking solid proof. Based on the video footage and his shaky alibi, the police concluded that John was the killer. Without digging deeper, they officially closed the case on March 19th. But just days later, everything changed. The second autopsy report finally arrived, and it contained a shocking revelation. According to forensic experts, the nature of Christine's wounds told a different story. The patterns of the injuries, the defensive marks, and the overwhelming brutality made one thing clear. It was impossible for a single person to have committed this crime. The doctors stated with strong certainty at least 3 individuals were involved in Christine's murder. This new information turned the entire case upside down. At the same time, several witnesses came forward claiming they had seen Christine with 3 individuals before she disappeared. This matched the autopsy findings perfectly. With this new information, the investigation was officially reopened now with a dramatic twist. The police began to rethink their earlier conclusion. If the doctors were right and 3 people had committed the crime, then John might only be one part of a bigger puzzle, or perhaps not involved at all. A critical detail cast fresh doubt on John's guilt. The autopsy indicated the killer was under the influence of drugs during the attack. However, when police conducted a drug test on John, the result came back negative. He showed no signs of drug use, nor did he have any known history of substance abuse. This contradiction left the police deeply confused. Had they arrested the wrong person? And just as the investigation began shifting direction, another major twist shook the case once again. A man named Renato came forward with a startling claim. "I killed Christine," he told the police, surrendering himself without resistance. But Renato wasn't originally connected to Christine's case. He had been arrested for an entirely different crime. During the interrogation, while being questioned about that unrelated case, he suddenly shifted the conversation. "There's something else I need to tell you," he said quietly. "Something that's been on my mind every day since it happened." And then he confessed he was the one who killed Christine. The room fell silent. The investigators were stunned not just by the confession, but by the details Renato revealed next. And here is what he confessed. Exactly 6 months before Christine's murder, Renato came across her profile on Facebook. It was purely by chance, but from the moment he saw her photo, he became obsessed. He instantly liked her, and from that point on, he was determined to make her fall in love with him no matter what it took. So he turned to manipulation. Renato began using catfishing tactics, a method where someone pretends to be another person online by using fake photos and stolen identities. Even though most people in our SDI Special Division of Investigation are familiar with catfishing, He explained it himself. Catfishing means pretending to be someone else online using another person's identity to fool others. And that's exactly what he did. Renato created a fake profile, used attractive photos of someone else, and began messaging Christine. Posing as someone completely different, he gained her trust. And eventually her affection. He had completely deceived her. Renato created a fake Facebook account using the name CJ Diaz. He used the real photos of a 17-year-old boy named CJ Diaz, who had no idea his identity was being misused. Then he sent Christine a friend request. Unaware of the deception, Christine accepted it. For the next 6 months, Renato posing as CJ chatted with her daily. He carefully maintained the illusion, pretending to be the sweet, charming 17-year-old boy she believed he was. Over time, their online relationship deepened. Christine believed she had found someone who truly cared for her. Then came March 10, the day they agreed to meet in person for the first time. Excited and hopeful, Christine went to the location he had mentioned, expecting to finally see the boy she had been talking to for half a year. But what she saw shattered everything. The person waiting for her wasn't CJ Diaz. It was Renato, a complete stranger she had never seen before. And yet he said the words that made her blood run cold. "I'm Diaz." Renato was not the 17-year-old boy Christine had fallen for online. He was a 43-year-old man, someone she had never seen before in her life. Christine, expecting to meet a teenage boy, was stunned and heartbroken when she saw the truth. Realizing she had been deceived for months, she felt humiliated and betrayed. Without saying much, she tried to walk away from the situation. But Renato wouldn't let her leave. He blocked her path and began pleading, then demanding that she love him. His desperation quickly turned violent. Fueled by drugs, his mood spiraled out of control when Christine refused. In a terrifying outburst, he tried to assault her. Christine resisted with everything she had. She fought back, screamed, tried to escape. What happened next was beyond horrifying. In a drug-fueled rage, Renato grabbed a bottle of acid and threw it on her face. Christine screamed in agony. Then, in an even more brutal act, he took a pair of scissors and began mutilating her, trying to destroy the very face he had once claimed to love. Her cries echoed in the empty surroundings, but no one was there to save her. He stabbed her repeatedly with the scissors over 30 times, but even after all that, she was still alive. It was only then that Renato ended her life by strangling her with a rope. The police recovered the very scissors Renato had described during his confession. Forensic analysis confirmed 2 sets of DNA. One belonged to Christine and the other to Renato. With this evidence, the confession was fully verified. Curious about his motives, the investigators asked him, "Did you surrender because you felt guilty for what you did to Christine?" But Renato's answer stunned everyone. "I don't feel guilty for killing her," he said coldly. "I never have. The only reason I came forward was because you arrested someone else for what I did. That guilt letting an innocent person suffer for my crime is what I couldn't live with." It was a response unlike anything the police had heard before. A man who had no remorse for a brutal murder, but surrendered only because someone else was being punished in his place. When the police asked Renato why he had so brutally mutilated Christine's face, his response was as bizarre as it was horrifying. He said, "Back in 2018, there were a lot of strange trends on the internet. One of them was the Momo challenge. It was everywhere even though it was a hoax. It made a huge impact online." And then, chillingly, he added, "Her face reminded me of that just a little. I don't know why, but I kept thinking of that Momo image. It got stuck in my head, so I destroyed her face like that, inspired by it." The police were stunned. It was a shocking insight into his warped mental state. Renato admitted that he had been psychologically influenced by a viral internet phenomenon, the so-called Momo challenge, a disturbing figure that became an online symbol of fear and horror during that time. And indeed, as was mentioned early in the case, Christine's facial features slightly resembled the Momo image, especially after the brutal attack, an eerie and grotesque coincidence that added another layer of nightmare to the case. Even after Renato's full confession, the public wasn't convinced. Many began questioning whether he was truly the only person responsible. The idea that a 43-year-old man could be so deeply influenced by something like the Momo challenge seemed far-fetched to many. Social media exploded with debates. How can a grown man be obsessed with viral teen trends? This doesn't add up. But the public's doubts weren't based on that alone. there was still the second autopsy report, which stated with certainty Christine's murder involved at least 3 individuals. That one fact continued to cast a long shadow of doubt over the case. Jonas, the first man arrested, had murdered another victim in a nearly identical fashion. Just 11 months earlier, was that really just a coincidence? John, Christine's 17-year-old ex-boyfriend, was clearly seen on CCTV walking with her just before her disappearance, and he had deliberately deleted a Facebook message sent to her that same day. Despite Renato's confession, there were still too many unanswered questions. Had the police truly investigated all angles? Had they closed the case too quickly just to calm public pressure? More and more people began to believe there's more to this story, and someone out there is still free. And while this case stirred debates for more than a year, on May 24, 2020, a shocking twist silenced everything. Renato was found dead in his jail cell. He had committed suicide. With that, the police officially closed the case. But for many, the story didn't end there. People began to ask, did this feel familiar? The Swathi Ramkumar murder case in Chennai had eerie similarities. A sudden confession, a suspect who died in custody, a case wrapped up but still surrounded by unanswered questions. Many started believing Renato's confession was forced, a convenient way for the police to shut the case under public pressure. Was Renato truly the killer? Or was he a scapegoat used to protect someone with a powerful background? The internet buzzed with speculation, and still today, many believe the real truth was buried along with Renato. And in the middle of all this, there was a mother, Christine's mother, who just wanted to find her daughter. She never imagined that the child she was searching for was being devoured by wild animals, and worse, by the human animals of our society. So DCR investigators, as I always say here on our channel, never trust anyone blindly online or offline. Strangers can be danger. With catfishing and fake IDs flooding social media, teenagers are the most vulnerable. Christine thought she was hiding her secret relationship from her mom, but in the end, she was the one who got deceived. The internet is powerful, it's the future, but it can also be deadly. So, what do you think happened in this case? Drop your theories in the comments. The most interesting one will be featured in our next episode. Like this video if you appreciate the effort behind our investigations. Share this to spread awareness. And as always, stay safe, stay alert. This is DCR Investigators. Thank you for watching. See you in the next case. Bye.